Hey, everybody, we are live for another episode of Unapologetically Bold. I'm not sorry for, and I'm so excited today to have my friend Luis here with me. And before we get started, I do want to ask you all to continue to like, subscribe, and share as we have the goal to bring positivity to your news feed in this time, but also be unapologetically bold about things that we need to quit apologizing for. And that is a lot about being humans and being a hot human who is humble, open, and transparent. So today, welcome our guest, Luis. Luis, can you tell us about yourself real quick?
Yes, thanks for having me, Emily. Well, my name is Luis, and I'm not sorry for targeting the impossible. I'm here to share a little bit about that today. Excited about reaching out to your audience. I think we have a lot of work ahead.
I agree so much. So, targeting the impossible. Why are you not sorry for that? But how did you even get to the mission of targeting the impossible?
Yeah, so last year I started working out regularly at the gym. Back in high school, it's something I felt really good about. And, working out gives you an ability to just kind of tune the world out. In high school, I was leg pressing 700 pounds in my senior year, and I figured, hey, let me try to, get past that. I got to 1,200 pounds before the end of the year, and I thought, hey, that seemed like an impossible. I just had to target it, right? Like day in and day out, have a little bit of discipline, motivation, and I was on my way to 1,500, and then COVID happened, so I had to stop. But I decided to create something of a reminder for others. We all have impossibles, whether it's at gym or in life, and you just need to target them and go for them.
I love that. So, what makes people stop from going to the impossible other than they thought that it is impossible?
I think one of the biggest things for me personally, what that I've learned is people want permission from others to succeed. And I think that's a terrible thing. I think you have one life, and you're the author of your life. That's up to you. It's not up to anybody else to decide how your life goes, right? So you got to make that determination, and then you got to commit to that, which I think is hard sometimes for people, because then that requires discipline and it requires accountability. And sometimes we don't like that.
Mm-hmm. And so, with discipline, what were some of the key things that you had to do to be able to leg press and to do the stuff to get to that impossible thought and goal that you were reaching after?
I just have to build it into my day, right? So you're running around, you have meetings, you're tired sometimes, you want to just stop and not go, but you realize you committed to something. And what I also start to realize is if you commit to one area and you don't follow through, that impacts your ability to commit to other areas and follow through in other areas, right? It could be professional, it could be personal. So I'm really trying to balance my life out in that regard. But I know I'm not the only one who needs to do that. I think there's a lot of people that have incredible potential, and you just need to have somebody tell you, you can do this, and let's go.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's something so true on having motivation from others, but also having motivation from yourself and that inner motivation to attack that impossible. And one thing that I found that really kills the targeting is fear.
Yes.
So, how do you advise people that want to target this impossible task to look at fear and overcoming it?
Yeah, fear can be a good thing. If you're trying to get away from a bear, maybe a good thing. But if it's holding you back, you need to ask yourself why. The thing that I shared earlier is, you realize you have one life. We're all at some point going to die and go to heaven. So if you're wasting your life living in fear, then you're not living your life. And I may be so bold as to say this, you're wasting your life. You're lying to yourself. And I think we need to kind of hear that. It's a tough message, right? But would you rather be half alive, or would you rather pursue the things that are really going to motivate you to give back to society? Right now, we see that more than ever, right? We need people to feel alive so they can shine that light.
Mm-hmm. And I know that with this, a lot of the impossible too is that you also work with the Latino community. And in that, we have had these discussions about sometimes victim mentality coming to
Mm.
victor mentality. What would you say to people that are possibly in a victim mentality set on by their upbringing or set on by these thoughts, no matter what your race, religion, or skin color is? What would you say to that?
That's an excellent question. It's one I've been thinking about lately. I think the answer to that is you have to get in your head and make yourself out to be that hero that can conquer that impossible no matter the odds, right? Every day we have people to the left of us and to the right of us drop in this race we call life, in this battlefield. Um, but you alone can make that determination that you're not going to quit, that you're not going to be a victim of the circumstances, that you're going to rise up, stand your ground, and go forward. You alone can do that. Nobody else can do that for you. And I think sometimes folks look for leaders out there, and I tell people, look in the mirror. You want a leader? That's the leader right there. You want to follow a leader, then you got to start acting like a leader.
hmm So, in your past experience, what are some ways that you have? I know with the targeting the impossible, with the weightlifting, but what are some other like work experiences or life experiences that have just cultivated? Because I know it's usually not just one thing that leads to you getting to what your mission is. That
Right.
it's multiple things. So, what is another time or experience that you would say?
You're absolutely right. It's a snowball effect, right? It's life has this inertia. For me, it's been tied to work, schooling, the different experiences that I've had in life. I was born in Mexico. My parents came here very early on, and you have to learn the language. You have to push yourself. You want to be better than everybody else because you want to give back to the world, right? Early on, you start learning there's a lot of challenges. When I was in high school, for example, one of them, I was thinking about this before the show. I had a job interview during the summer for a construction job. So the owner of the company says, if you can climb the truck and bring the wheelbarrow down, you have a job. Here's this scrawny little kid, right? I'm like, I can do it. I got up there, I threw it. I didn't do it gracefully, but at the end of the day, I have a job. And I think sometimes in life, we want to do things gracefully. We want to do them perfectly. There is no such thing. Just do it. Just build it and start going forward, and things happen. Good things happen.
And I love that because I talk a lot about how knowledge isn't always power. Knowledge can help you, but knowledge in action is called wisdom. And it's that part of acting. And so many people get caught up in overthinking or procrastination or
So
however
true.
they deal with their fears in that aspect. You can you can run from it or you can attack it, whatever it may be, but you're avoiding it in essence.
Right.
And so, how would you tell people today to start acting on their wants and that it's okay to do that?
Yeah, so let's look at this visual. I think we all like fast cars, for the most part. So you can have a nice car parked in your garage, but if you don't hit the gas, you're not going to go anywhere. You're not going to see anything fun. You're not going to have any nice drives. Life is like that. Take that knowledge, take that action, step on the gas pedal, and go. You're going to discover the world. You're not going to do that if you're at home. You're not going to do that if you're, somehow imprisoned by your fears. You're going to do that when you decide to let go of those things that hold you back and you just run forward. And there's a lot to see in this world, and there's a finite amount of time. So why not start doing it now? Why wait till tomorrow? Tomorrow's already too late.
hmm And I love that too, because the analogy of a car too is that a lot of people think that you have to go at 100% all the time to get to your destination. But you have like just in a journey in a car, you have stop signs. And if you actually went at 100%, you would burn the engine. You can't.
Yes.
You would run
No.
into, you would crash and it would fall on your face, or you could end up really hurt. And
Yeah.
too many times, and that's the same thing with even your weightlifting. Like
Yeah.
you can't go 100%. You have to go at typically we as an exercise physiologist, we advise doing it 80%. And then to push yourself. And so whenever it comes to your time that you want to lift, you can then go at the higher volume. But that's your one time, that you're going at it. You don't consistently, you work up to it. So what would you
Yep.
say about that?
Yeah, that word, what you just said right now, consistently and constantly, right? It's easy to go to the gym one day and boom, you feel great. Or it's easy to get in the car and just, take that one drive. But to have the ability to do things day in and day out at a certain time, because you understand that your success is tied to that, that's the key to success, right? I mean, and a lot of people have told us this, they've shown this to us. You have to develop that routine. You're not going to get somewhere in life if your day schedule changes, every day. And if you're not doing things consistently, if you don't have a drive, if you don't have that motivation, then it's going to hold you back.
Hmm. What are some of the mental consistencies that you do personally that have allowed you to target the impossible?
So I've started working this year, well, started earlier last year, but now really focus on getting up at 5:30 in the morning every day. It's quiet time for me. It's time for me to just kind of be grateful for where I'm at in life, the things that I want to do, lay out a plan, and then also I've started to build a little bit of time to just relax and be with myself, be in the moment, appreciate things a little bit more than I used to. I think when you're running in life, I've worked in government, I've worked in the private sector, nonprofit sector. It's constantly go, go, go. But to go back to example you cited with a car, when you're doing that, sometimes you run around, but you have to ask yourself, what do you run around for? The thing about focusing on a business or something that you care about is that you get to run around for those things that matter to you, that you feel passionate about, that you care about. And I think that's when you make the biggest contributions in life.
Hmm. I agree so much. So, hearing all the things that you're saying, what would you tell somebody that keeps apologizing for going after goals that people are like, that's dumb, that's never going to work, or whatever it may be like? What would you tell them?
Yeah, we all come across that in life at different points, right? You have to be one, you have to be stubborn about the things that you believe in. You have to be committed to yourself, right? People are always going to talk. They're always going to talk. But at the end of the day, you don't live with those people. Those people don't live with you. But you do go to bed at night and you're looking at that guy or that gal in the mirror. Don't let that person down. Stand up for them. They need you. They're counting on you to do that. That's what I would say. Start standing up for yourself. It matters. You'll lead a better life when you do that.
And how do you think that impacts the humanity in essence? With the like we're seeing right now with a lot too much on social media right now with the division of the world, it feels like. What is the importance in on focusing on what you can do so that you can then eventually target the impossible?
I think what it comes down to is loving each other. I heard a good friend of mine once say, "Hurt people hurt people."
Hmm.
We really need to take a good look at ourselves because we're all hurting somehow, right? But you got to let go of that pain sometimes. Everybody's been through stuff, right? If you're human, you're going to go through something horrible at some point sooner or later. It's about getting up. It's about the grit. It's about the kindness, right? When you're in this race called life, you got to be kind to each other. It's just not a whole lot of fun if you're angry and you're hateful and you're, violent. You come across people like that in different, areas. I was working in government one day and this guy was shouting at me and I'm like, whoa, 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 relax. What's going on? One, don't talk to me like that. Two, you're in a professional setting, so breathe, right?
Hmm.
I think sometimes we just got to tell each other, breathe a little bit. Let's put everything in perspective and let's figure out what's good about the situation and what's bad about the situation. But let's not add fuel to the fire because that's bad for everyone.
Hmm. And I love that too about acknowledging yourself in that aspect too. So, like, whenever you were doing your goal on the weightlifting to target that impossible thought that you couldn't do, but you ended up doing it, you had to make sure you knew your body signals.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of the time that I see where there comes failure is because people can't listen to their own bodies and knowing whenever I need to take a breath,
Yeah.
or that aspect of
Yeah.
I need to stop for the day. I need to rest. The power of rest. the power of relaxation. And sometimes it feels like, if we're going towards something so big that sounds like it's impossible, that we got to work, 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 work. But you need rest and recovery. So, what's the importance
Mhm.
of that in your journey of targeting the impossible?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you. I think listening to your body's critical. Otherwise, you're going to get hurt. Listening to your mind, super important. Listening to your heart, right? All these things are super important because at the end of the day, they make you a better, more balanced individual. Sometimes, depending on what's going on in life with people, you take one instance of, somebody doesn't look at a person right, or somebody cuts them off while they're, in traffic, and they blow up. You're like, is it that bad, or do you have other stuff going on in your mind? And what's important about that is, how do you get yourself to put things in perspective and not overreact? Increasingly, what I look at is, I have a finite amount of energy, right? Am I going to go crazy on stuff that is trite, or am I going to put it in perspective and then learn where to invest that energy so that I get the most out of my day and out of my life?
Hmm.
I think we have to ask ourselves, what are the things worth reacting, to? What are they? And then just go from there.
Awesome. So, anybody that's listening to this, you have the ability to ask questions. So, if you would like to, please leave a comment in the comments below. Um, we love to hear from you. And I do see that Mike has joined us, and also see Shyla. So, thank you too also for joining us in this call. So, as we continue on this, let's talk with why should we stop apologizing? Because that's what this is about, being unapologetically bold. Why do you find that we apologize in the first place?
I think we apologize when we're not sure of our place in the world. I don't have anything to apologize for. You don't have anything to apologize for. We're created by God. We're meant to be great. We're meant to do good things, and we just gotta stop feeling sorry for ourselves and go out there and do it.
Hmm.
It's simple.
And I agree to that. And that's the one thing that I think it's a lot of based on comparison instead of compassion. And that we have this feeling that we're not good enough, or we're not to this certain level in life, that it is impossible because of statement XYZ that we've heard in our life. So, in the aspect of making it more seem possible and not having to forgive, or not ask for forgiveness for it, what is some ways that people can go about on finding their possibilities?
One is to surround yourself with people that support who you are,
Hmm.
with true friends, with individuals that want the best for you. We all know there's a lot of fake people out there who, will hang around you because they expect there's going to be some sort of benefit to them. Those people often won't point out your flaws. They won't point out the areas where you could be better, right? I think somebody who's vested in you, who really truly understands and sees your potential, is going to call you out when they see you're slacking off.
Hmm.
I think the peer network in that regard is important. And there's a lot of people out there. Reach out. Once you start reaching out, you'll see how you get connected to all sorts of wonderful people. They're out there and they want to see you succeed. The other thing also is, put it down on paper, right?
Hmm.
Tell me what you think is impossible about whatever you're thinking, and I'll show you it's not. More importantly, though, figure out yourself what the steps are that can help you go from impossible to possible.
Hmm.
Look, as long as you're alive, there's nothing that's impossible. It's that simple.
Hmm. I love that. What is somebody or something that has been told to you that at first could have been a limiting factor for the possibility, that then sparked you into making, like, I can do this?
I think that's an excellent question. I think it goes back to the fact that sometimes, we all have a spark inside of us, and um, the beauty of listening to yourself is that you stand up to people, or you decide you're going to show them, prove them wrong, right? When I was in high school, I had this counselor, great counselor, but that one day when I wanted him to, sign off on me choosing a French elective, he's like, well, why don't you, choose auto shop? You can learn about cars. And I'm like, no, I want French. I need to take French. And So, I went against what he said, and later studied in France, and now I'm doing business with people there. So
Mhm.
you have to know your value. You have to know what you want out of life. You have to be able to tell people no if it's not in your best interest. And I think sometimes that's a problem with us. I think we don't tell people no enough. We need to say yes to ourselves.
Mhm. That's so true. I've been going on about that lately about I am trying to turn into a 4-year-old and learn the word no again. Because there's so many times that I'm saying yes to things, typically in my
Mm.
family life, like having puppies or having chickens. And then it gets thrown to me. And I love my kids, but I need to start saying yes to things that are for me. And that I know
Yeah,
that in the end, I'm definitely, it's going to take my responsibility because it's going to take my energy and it's
that's
going
right.
to prohibit me from getting to where I want to be. And
Yeah.
that's one thing that I've struggled with is whenever you target the impossible, some people might think you're selfish because you're
Oh,
taking your
no
time,
doubt.
you're
No
taking
doubt.
your energy, and you're taking all that to go towards your goal. So how can you help with, especially because sometimes it's close family and friends that you're taking time away from? How can you focus on yourself without having the guilt of being selfishness?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. I think you have to be at peace with the decisions that you make in life. You have to be more decisive and more assertive. Um, and I just actually had that happen last week. When somebody was asking, me to do something, and I'm like, look, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to do it. This is not worth my time, and I'll do it. Later, maybe when I have the time. But right now, it's not happening. Right. So just knowing that you can say no and pushing back sometimes on those requests help you keep that discipline and help you keep your day going forward. Otherwise you get all these interruptions, and you get to the end of the day, you're like, what did I do? Well, I didn't do much because I was interrupted by this and that.
Mhm.
So you have to be a little bit selfish. Don't feel guilty about it.
And I think that's something that stuck with me is that if you don't plan your day, somebody else will plan it for you.
No doubt.
With life, if you don't plan your life or plan your goals, if you don't plan it, somebody else will for you. And knowing what your plan is, but that starts with self reflection and knowing what you can do and what may be impossible to others. Because I bet whenever you targeted the impossible, it was never really impossible for you. You knew that you had a sliver of, hey, I got this.
Yeah, it's true. And you start building on that momentum, right? So once you get one success, you want success in another area, and you start building that foundation of success. Uh, I tell my kids it's like this: look, you have a book, it's the book of our life, and you have a day, every day to, writing that book. If you don't like it, change it. But at the end of the day, at the end of, the month, the year, you're going to have chapters. These make up the story of your life.
Mhm.
These show how you targeted that impossible and made it possible, or when you chose to walk away, when you took the easy way out. If you want a book that somebody wants to read, make sure you make it worth reading. And the way you do that is by taking that action day in and day out to be better than you were yesterday. It's simple. It's not that complicated.
Mhm. And one thing I do want to talk about real quick is how failure is needed to target the impossible. Because a lot of people are like, they see success as just an uphill trajectory. And for me, it's never been that actually failure is a part of it. And it's you either fail or you learn either way. Like you're gonna learn.
Mhm.
So what is a way that you have failed, but it helped you get to your impossible?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think when you fall on your face, if you will, when things don't work out the way that you hope them to. I was on a, like I said, I worked in the private sector, the public sector. It was just ongoing trajectory of work, work, work. Not having that available to me was like a failure at first, right? I'm like, oh man, I've been used to run around, like working for other people. I miss that. And I'm like, yeah, but you're not working for you. You're not working for the things that you believe in, right? Without that adversity, without that, trial, that tribulation that comes with that kind of a transition, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. And working on the things that matter to me is the most important thing right now. And if I'm going to work with other people, it's got to be people that I like, people that I trust, not people that I'm weary of. Because I've worked with some great people, but like everyone else, you come across people that are a little bit shady, and you got to make that determination that you got to get behind people that line up with your values. And when that happens, I think great things happen. And when it doesn't, bad things happen.
Exactly. That's so true. And that's another part of it, is that in the aspect of targeting the impossible, it's not a one-man journey. It's
Right.
usually it's so many other people come in, and it's the supporters, it's the cheerleaders. You may be doing the actions every day, but the people around you can really make a difference. So,
Mhm.
what would be your final words to somebody about how you're not sorry for targeting the impossible?
My final words would be: you're fantastic. You're great the way you are. You're supposed to just live your life and do the things that are going to allow you to fulfill that potential. Don't stop. Don't apologize for what you're doing, for your journey. Just go forward and really be happy, because if you're not happy, then you're not really building yourself up, right? That would be the big thing for me. Just build yourself up. Go out there, make it happen. Don't stop for anyone.
I love it. Thank you so much for your time. And thank you for everybody that joined in watching. We hope you have an awesome and blessed day.
My pleasure. Thanks.